This is the Audi A4, and it's a case of the Germans really letting their hair down.
You see, when it comes to midlife facelifts, Audi always treads a cautious path. Not with the new A4. You see, Audi's current head of design didn't like the A4, so he's tried to make it look like the A6 and the A8, two cars he's already designed.
But before I tell you what's changed and whether the A4 can still mix it with the likes of the BMW 3 Series, the Mercedes C-Class, the Jaguar XE, the Alfa Romeo Giulia, and so on and so forth, subscribe to the channel, switch on those notifications, and leave your comments below.
So we have a wider grille than before, and it sits lower down than before too. There are new lights, new bumpers front and back, but perhaps the biggest change that's very opinion splitting is along the side. Gone is the neat shoulder line, and here we have these exaggerated wheel arches. And on this particular car there's even one real exhaust and a fake one. As facelifts go in Audi's world, this one is rather big news.
And in here, the madness stops because it pretty much looks almost identical to the old A4. So you still get the same typically Audi design dashboard, the same fantastic build quality, and it also smells very nice in here too. And then you go for the infotainment wheel and my goodness, where's it gone? There's just a cubby in its place. And that's because there's a new touchscreen here, and this is the biggest change in here. Now it uses Audi's new operating system. We've seen it in the A6 and the A8, and it's much easier system to use. Now, one of the reasons why Audi has removed that infotainment wheel is because they want you to use their new voice control system. They're very proud of it. And if I just press the button here, take me to Harrogate.
I'm looking for destinations for you. Please wait a moment. Should I start route guidance now?
No, thank you very much. There we are. That is a lot easier to use than it was before, and it seems a lot more reliable as well. Now, the other thing that's worth noting in here is that it doesn't matter which A4 you go for, they all come with this large touchscreen and Audi's virtual cockpit.
It's not just the touchscreen and the virtual cockpit that comes as standard on the Technic, but also LED lights front and rear and 17-inch alloy wheels. Sport adds part real, part fake leather and 18-inch wheels, while the ever-popular S-Line gets a body kit, lower suspension, 19-inch wheels and sweeping indicators. There's a black edition that gets, well, you guessed it, lots of black trim and different alloys, and there's a hot S4. It all sounds pretty good, but as usual, the option packs are expensive, and the only two colours that come as standard are white and black, which is a bit stingy.
In the back, and unsurprisingly, it's exactly the same as the old car, which is not a bad thing because the back seats was always one of the best in the business because there's lots of space back here. Good amount of knee room, good amount of headroom, and it does feel quite wide back here. Now, you probably could fit a third person in the middle here. They'd have to be pretty narrow, but if you've got some narrow friends, they'll love it back here. Now, there's also some nice touches as well. Good armrest as well, good little cubby there as well. One thing I particularly like, these sweet little cup holders, look. Very small, you have to put some very small drinks in there, but I think it's quite a nice little touch, quite sweet. Nets on the back of the seats, good sized door bins and ISOFIX points on each outer seat, and they are easily reachable with little covers on as well.
The boot, unsurprisingly, remains the same as it was before, so it's the same size as the Mercedes C-Classes and a little shy of the 3 Series BMWs. But the good news is that you get folding rear seats as standard on the A4, and even better, they have a 40-20-40 split, so the A4 is surprisingly practical for a saloon car. Under the bonnet is where the real changes lie, however. Apart from the 187 brake horsepower 2-litre diesel, badged 40 TDI, all the engines are now mild hybrids. That means there's a 12-volt electrical system to improve fuel consumption.
Now let's keep this simple because it can be just a little bit confusing. Now you can buy the A4 with a 2-litre diesel engine, nothing surprising there, but it comes with a mild hybrid system, that 12-volt mild hybrid system we've just been talking about. Now it comes in two power outputs, 134 brake horsepower, and that's called 30 TDI, and 161 brake horsepower, and that's called 35 TDI. And then there's a 2-litre petrol engine with 148 brake horsepower, 187 brake horsepower, and 242 brake horsepower, and they're called 35 TFSI, 40 TFSI, and 45 TFSI.
Got it? And in a move that will disappoint some but impress others, the previously petrol-only S4 now comes with a 342 brake horsepower 3-litre TDI diesel engine with a 48-volt mild hybrid system developing 700 Nm of torque.
Now we've got the 40 TDI here. I hope you're keeping up. This is the one that doesn't have the mild hybrid system. It's your conventional 2-litre diesel engine with 187 brake horsepower. And just like this engine that's found in a multitude of different Volkswagen Group products, it's a nice engine. It's a bit growly when you put your foot on the throttle, but really it's nothing to crow about because it's generally a nicely refined engine, and you should be getting good MPG from it as well. Now, generally speaking, it's a perfectly decent engine. Now, it's mated here to a 7-speed automatic gearbox, and it's absolutely fine. I mean, you've got these pretty nasty plastic paddles behind the steering wheel, but it moves up and down the gearbox, moves through the gears, perfectly straightforward, no lurches, not that hesitant. It's just a very nicely put together car. Nothing to write home about, but nothing really to complain about either. Now, Audi has done no work on the chassis of this car whatsoever, so it drives exactly the same as it ever did. Now, that means very light and accurate steering. It also means you can't really feel what's going on, but you know, for the most part, it's absolutely fine. The ride is good. Now, you can't get air suspension like you can in a Mercedes C-Class, but you can get adaptive dampers the higher up the range you can. But even on the standard setup like we've got here, it is absolutely fine. And that's the thing with the A4. Yes, it will not trouble a BMW 3 Series or a Jaguar XE or even an Alfa Romeo Giulia on a tight, twisty road. But neither is it as comforting and as luxurious as a Mercedes C-Class. The Audi A4 has always been in that middle ground, and this one continues to do that.
While it's a refined car though, the A4 is more costly to run than the BMW 320d or an equivalent Jaguar XE. At 139 grams per kilometre, it emits more CO2 than both of those cars, and that's bad news for business users. And it's more costly to tax. Things to keep in mind if you're choosing one as a company car. It's a good car is the A4. It's incredibly well made, costing and more than up to the job of being an executive saloon. It's just that despite the revisions, the A4 is still beaten by a Jaguar XE for driving fun, Mercedes C-Class for, well, class, and a BMW 3 Series at being a good all-rounder. If you like this review, make sure you watch our BMW 3 Series video and on the right for our Executive Saloon Cars playlist. Make sure you press the Carbuyer logo to subscribe to the channel, leave your comments, switch on the notifications, and as ever, thanks for watching.